ياسر قاسم. من الكرادة في بغداد إلى مدينة الضباب، ومن ثم عاد لاعباً ليمثل منتخب العراق. لم تسلم تجربته من المشاكل والإبعاد والابتعاد، ولكن حين كان بأفضل حال قدم أروع اللحظات مع منتخبنا الوطني. ياسر سيطل علينا اليوم لنخوض بتجربته خلال هذه الحلقة. أهلا بكم وبرنامج الخطوة التاسعة بموسمه الثاني مع طه أبو رغيف.
Hello Captain. أهلا بك. Thank you for having me. شكرا حبيبي.
شو رأيك بالدخول بالصور؟ ذكرتك بأشياء؟
Beautiful. حلو كتير و it's like walking down memory lane. So thank you. شكرا.
راح نحكي عن هاي القصص بعد شوي. تفضل. أهلا وسهلا بك. بصراحة قبل البرنامج كنت أسوي بحث عن حياة ياسر قاسم، اكتشفت بأنه أنت ما عندك أي وسيلة تواصل اجتماعي، انستغرام، فيسبوك، إكس.
I have some social media and I was on social media, Facebook, Instagram, but I decided it's better to be off social media and concentrate on my day a little bit more than get on the social media and show the world what I'm doing. I'd rather just live and be off social media.
بالنتيجة بطبيعة الحال الكثير من الشخصيات العامة، اللاعبين، المدربين، النجوم يستخدموها على اعتبار يعني أولا ربما يكونوا ملهمين للآخرين أو حتى يثبتون بأنهم موجودين. أنت قررت الاختفاء.
I like being with my...
شوف آخر بوست أعتقد قبل 3 سنوات.
Yes. I like being with myself. So when I sit down and I have a coffee or I'm going to work or training, I try not to think about the telephone or the camera or anything like that. So maybe one day I come back to help others, to teach others, because I've been through a long career and going into a new career. But for now, I enjoy being with myself.
ربما المسيرة الرياضية معروفة لدى الجميع، لكن أتحدث عن نقطة التحول في حياة ياسر قاسم. في عمر 6 سنوات في بغداد قرر والدك السفر والهجرة خارج العراق. تتذكر هاي اللحظات، الأيام؟
Yeah, I remember specifically the day we left. So we were woken up by my mother in the middle of the night and they told us to say goodbye to our friends, which was difficult. But at the time we didn't know why.
تتذكر أصدقائك؟
Yes, I kind of see the images, but I remember walking in the middle of the night and then saying goodbye, but I don't quite see the faces. So, but I remember the feeling. It was just a feeling of not knowing. And, you know, you're a child, so you don't know what that feeling is. We ended up, obviously, a couple of hours later being in the car, taking the taxi and going across the border to Jordan. So I remember those times, and every now and again I get a flashback of that. And then when you get that flashback, you also remember what happened previously and having fun with your friends and being on the street and playing football and just being a kid. And there's a lot that goes on in someone's mind when you're thinking of that moment and how that moment changed not just my life, but my parents' life, my siblings' lives. And then you start comparing the life I could have had in Iraq if I grew up in Iraq, became a teenager and then an adult, to the life I lived in London, or Britain.
طيب خلينا في أيام الطفولة. تتذكر شيء حتى قبل الهجرة؟ قررت تتذكر شيء عن المنطقة، المدرسة؟ بيا منطقة كنت تتذكر؟ بيا منطقة كنت في بغداد؟
I remember we were in Karade, but I don't remember specifically. I remember always wearing this bandana, like it's a red bandana, like Ninja Turtles, you know, the red one. My favorite one was Raphael, so I used to always wear that. And then picking up my siblings from school My sister used to play tennis. We're really a tennis family. So my dad pushed us to be tennis players. So I remember those little things and, you know, kicking the football with my friends, getting into fights like little kids do, blocking off the roads so the cars don't come into the road and we play. Good times, as if we were the leaders of the area. But I'm sure the drivers are like, just let them play, they're kids. Yeah, so I remember those things.
طيب يعني الطفولة في العراق لم تزرع بك شيء يعني لأنه كانت 6 سنوات وقررت الهجرة، فبالتالي مجرد ذكريات عندك عن العراق. لكن هل يعني أنت ذكرت إنه أنتم هاجرتوا بالليل، هل كان والدك خائف من شيء أم يعني سألت والدك لاحقا لماذا غادرت العراق؟ لماذا اخترنا الليل؟ لماذا ذهبنا بهذا الطريق الطويل للهجرة خارج العراق؟ طبعا أنت تتحدث عن التسعينيات، أيام الحصار بعد حرب العراق والكويت، احتلال الكويت يعني.
Yes, now I know a little bit more of the feeling. As you age, you start thinking about family yourself and having a responsibility for others. But at the end of the day, I can't imagine what they went through. I know they made the decision beforehand. So they'd already thought about it. They'd already communicated it between themselves, my parents and other family members. But I can't imagine what they must have gone through. But I can imagine what it has done, which is take away something. My parents grew up in a society totally different than British culture. So for them to leave that society and bring us to a different culture was very difficult for them. Even if they didn't know it at the time, now we do know it. So I can't really imagine what they've gone through, but I really appreciate the fact that they did what they did. And now, whenever I try to talk to dad or mom, even siblings, I try to get snippets of it, but everybody has their own life and the way they deal with things. I think the Iraqi style, especially the older generation, they just deal with it. They don't talk about it. But every now and then I get snippets. So I can spend some time with my dad, and after 2-3 hours, you get the snippets of things. But they just want to get on with it. That's one part of it. And the other part is they want to have fun. They don't want to be talking about problems and what happened then and feelings and that sort of things. So I can't quite imagine. I can imagine a little bit, but can't put myself in their shoes. But now I've grown up, I really appreciate the fact that they've done so much for us.
طيب يعني أفهم من كلامك أولا أنت ممتن لأنه أنت تشعر بأنه لو بقيتم في العراق في ظل الظروف السابقة، النظام السابق، لا يختلف الوضع. لما كنت الآن ياسر الآن أو حتى إخوانك أو يعني أشقائك، وأيضا بالمقابل أنتم حافظتم على الهوية العراقية حتى وإن كنتم في بريطانيا، يعني كعائلة وحتى أقاربك الموجودين هناك.
Yes, I appreciate the fact that I've conserved the identity. It's a very difficult thing to do when you're growing up in a different culture. And at some point, you might lose your identity. I never did. And that's something I really appreciate. I'm sure we'll come into it with the national team. Going back and making my debut, you know, just thinking about it now, it makes me think about when I made my debut. That was the start of me realizing what I lost out in Iraq and how to grow up in Iraq. And that's what my parents left. So I've come to realize what I lost, but what I gained. And so, yeah, walking down memory lane, it's giving me a little bit of those thoughts about how to help the next generation. So yeah, I'm really, really appreciative of the fact that I'm Iraqi.
بالتأكيد هذا شيء عظيم ومهم أن تحافظ على الهوية. يعني هي العائلة من تحافظ على الهوية، على اعتبار بأن الأطفال يبقون تحت تأثير العائلة. أنت تحدثت عن العراقية والانتماء، متى شاهدت المنتخب الوطني العراقي بالتلفزيون؟ شعرت بالانتماء عند سماع النشيد الوطني أو مشاهدة المباراة عندما كنت صغير؟ يعني في المهجر هل كانت لديك فرصة سابقة لمشاهدة المنتخب؟
Yes, when they won the Asia Cup in 2007, I got in the car with Dad and we went down. There's a famous road, this Edgware Road. There's a lot of Arabs. We went up and down. There's we were celebrating, and I was with the Iraqi flag and on the side of the car. This isn't normal in London to be in the side and outside the window. It's kind of a bit more normal in Iraq, but it wasn't so normal. It's not so normal in England. Anyway, we celebrated that, so I loved that. I absolutely loved that. And I was playing football by then. I was, at Tottenham, and I was...
هذه كانت المرة الأولى التي تشاهد بها المنتخب أو مباريات المنتخب الوطني العراقي. قد كان عمرك؟
So I must have been about 15, 16 then.
already كنت تلعب الكرة القدم.
Yeah, so I was already fully sort of developed in the beginning part of the career, because when people think about football, they think only the professional career. But I signed my first contract with Tottenham at 11. So I'd already had 4 or 5 years of training after school, of matches, of being taken out of school, even training with the Tottenham first team. So I already had that thought of making it as a footballer. And then to see the national team win, and then to go celebrate it in the streets with other Iraqis.
في تلك اللحظة كنت ترى نفسك لاعبا لمنتخب إنجلترا أم لاعبا لمنتخب العراق؟ يعني كنت تمتلك تلك الرؤية عن ما الذي سيحدث في المستقبل، على اعتبار بأن القصة صعبة عندما تكون لاعبا لمنتخب إنجلترا وتحتاج إلى منافسة عالية مع بعض اللاعبين. أين كنت ترى نفسك؟ أم لم تكن تفكر بالمستقبل في 2007 تحدث يعني، وأنت كنت لاعب بالفئات العمرية؟
I think looking back at it, it's great that you have the grounding in that culture to understand the different culture, but ultimately I really appreciate the fact that I got to go with Iraq, because it's a personality thing and it's a social thing. It's not just football. Going back to the country of your birth is something special. So there were talks about potentially going to England camp, and that didn't really work out. But at the end of the day, if I look back, the fact that I played for my country, Iraq, was the best thing ever.
طيب يعني أتحدث يعني وكأنما أشعر بأنه عملية اندماجك هناك مع المجتمع كانت صعبة باختلاف الثقافات مثلا. هل واجهت هذه الصعوبة عندما كنت لاعب؟ هل واجهت تمييزا معينا على اعتبار أنك جذورك عربية وهناك لاعبين آخرين ربما من نفس البلد أو من بلدان أخرى؟
In England?
Yeah.
I mean, I think there isn't much discrimination, but at the end of the day, England is English. So they will look after the English. It's an English country. And then the Scottish, even though it's British, is Scottish. And then you have a little bit the Irish that not so much are part of the Britain, but they're Irish. There's different sort of flavors and different types of people. But London in itself is multicultural and it's welcoming to everybody. I'm, again, appreciative of the fact that I got to be sort of in a country that has a great system, a great education, that really helped out my family when we went over there. So I love Britain and I love London. In my heart, I'm Iraqi, but at the end of the day, I do love Britain and what it gave me. I do.
طيب مرحلة الفئات العمرية هناك في بريطانيا كانت مرحلة تنشئة مهمة لياسر قاسم. هل تعتقد بأنك بدأت بالشكل الصحيح مع النادي الصحيح؟ أنا قرأت بأنك كنت في توتنهام أو فولهام أو توتنهام.
So I was Fulham and I didn't sign with Fulham. I ended up signing with Tottenham. And the fact that I signed with Tottenham was great because at the time really good coaches started coming into Tottenham and they really started building the academy.
توتنهام واحد من أكبر الأندية في إنجلترا، يعني تتكلم عن توتنهام. فرصة كثيرة لشاب عراقي مهاجر أن يلعب في توتنهام. لماذا لم تتمسك بالفرصة؟ آسف يعني أنا أستعجل بالأسئلة، لكنه عندما قرأت عنك كنت متحفز أن أسأل هذا السؤال. يعني فرصة كبيرة في توتنهام.
No problem. You can ask me any question you want. I think when people from the outside, they look at clubs and they see a name, it's great. But the fact is you have to look at the people in the club. And it's the people that make the club. And if you have really good people, like we had at Tottenham, and really good coaches, they will inspire you. They will push you. So I could have gone maybe to Fulham. I could have gone to maybe another club in London. But I really liked the fact that I ended up at Tottenham. because the coaches now I'm still friends with after all these years, and they've pushed me not just as a player but as a coach now, where I coach at Crystal Palace, but also as a human being. So these were very, very strong personalities, and they've gone on to do great things in their life. So the fact is Tottenham was the best place to be in my career right there then.
لم تستمر، قرأت بأنه كنت تريد أن تلعب في الفريق الأول. ممكن أن توضح لي لماذا مسيرتك مع توتنهام لم تستمر حتى وصولا للفريق الأول؟
So you leave school at 16 in England to sign full-time terms, the scholarship. And I went into the youth team, and then I became the captain of the youth team. And then I saw how things were being run at Tottenham. And I looked at it and I saw the reserves, which is the next step before the first team. And it was very stacked. They had a lot of players and good players. And I realized maybe my personality doesn't fit the next step at Tottenham. Not knowing that over time what was going to happen was they were going to shift away and play more youngsters. But I decided to move. And that move took me to Brighton. And that's where I signed my first professional contract. So you sign full-time and then sign professional. And I ended up leaving London and growing up in Brighton and Hove Albion. And that showed me a different side to football. Some say I should have stayed and signed because I was offered to stay at Tottenham. But I think I saw two worlds. I saw a big club in Tottenham, and then I saw a smaller club in Brighton and the way it built itself up. Now Brighton and Hove Albion is a massive club in the Premier League. But when I went there, we literally had, other than the first team players, we had maybe 4 or 5 youngsters and we had one coach. Now it's a fully fledged academy, fully fledged Premier League club, one of the best run Premier League clubs, and if not really one of the best run European clubs. So I got to see that as well. In a weird way, it also helps me with seeing my new career in finance and business, how to help clubs and how to advise clubs in a way.
يعني الوضع في قرار مغادرة توتنهام هو كان قرارك الشخصي وليس قرار فني من المدرب، لأنه أنت أردت أن تحجز مكانك الأساسي. شعرت بأنه بقائك في توتنهام مع مجموعة من اللاعبين في وسط الملعب هو مضيعة للوقت، فقرار شخصي يعني ليس قرار فني.
It was really personal, and I remember my sporting the sporting director of the academy. There's the sporting director for the first team and the whole club, and then there's the sporting director of the academy. And he came in and put a whole video and said, guys, look at Yasser. He's going to leave, but look what he's done. How he's helped us. To convince me to stay. They put me in meetings and said, Yasser, what do you want? Tell us the terms you want. We'll sign it. We'll put it on paper. What do you want? But yeah, it was a personal choice that I decided to go. It wasn't...
قرارك كان الآن عندما تعود بالذاكرة، هل كان قرارك صحيح في وقتها أن تغادر فريق مثل توتنهام لتجد فرصة في برايتون ألبيون؟ قرار كان صحيح، وأنت طبعا شرحت إنه برايتون ليس برايتون سابقا، ليس برايتون الآن.
I think I think it's a deeper question because you're talking about a human being and their personality. For me, it was the right decision. Others, they will look at it and go, no, you should sign at Tottenham, stay a couple of years, maybe go to other clubs, come back, try to break through. I've even been told by the coach that was my coach then. He works in Liverpool now, but he told me if you stayed, you'd probably make your first team debut and you'd go on and you play however many matches in the Premier League. But for me, and it's just my personality, I do the things that I want to do. And the way I think about things and the way I break it down, I come to my own conclusion. And some people might think that's wrong or right. But I've grown to take a little bit more advice from others. And it's just my personality. It's analytical. I have to think about it and then make the decision.
ممتاز. وحتى نتجاوز هذه النقطة، فقط سؤال أخير: هل كان لوالدك تأثير؟ من كان ينصحك بالقرارات الرياضية المبدئية؟ الآن نعرف بأنه كل لاعب عنده ايجنت، عنده من كان؟
Yes, there is effects there, or from and maybe pressure, parents and agents. I think ultimately I took the decision. No one said to me leave. No one said to me sign. Some thought that I should sign. Some thought maybe I should leave. But I ultimately took the decision. There's a lot of pressure in football because, you know, it's a really important decision. You can't just go to one company and maybe make it. You might not make it. And if you don't make it, you put so many years into it. Where do you go from there? It's not a normal job. A normal job, you might go and study a degree and then suddenly you go into the job market. And that degree, you don't need to use it, and you've gone and built another career and then gone to another career. Football is very different, and they want you to break through at a young age. It's also the financial aspect. The quicker you break through, the longer career you have, the better for the player and the club, because they get to have more years of your contract. So they're paying you for more because they know they can sell you on for more. And as you age, then your level decreases, but also your finances decrease. So it's not normal that you only have a 15-year career maybe in football. It's normal for football, but not in a normal career.
يقال بأنه ياسر ليس من الشخصيات التي هي تسمع لكن لديك القرار أو العناد. بالتالي في حديثنا لاحقا بالبرنامج سنتحدث عن محطات كثيرة كانت قراراتك مفاجئة، غريبة، صادمة.
Yeah, the way you got to look at it is everybody's flawed, and even the people giving you advice are flawed. So the only way you can live is do the best you can, listen to others, work hard, research, and then make your decision. And that's all you can do.
طيب سنتحدث أكثر عن ياسر قاسم مع المنتخب الوطني ومحطات كثيرة، لكن مشاهدينا سنذهب إلى فاصل ثم نعود لكم. أهلا بكم من جديد، مستمرون بحديثي مع ضيف الكابتن ياسر قاسم بالخطوة التاسعة. تحدثنا عن البدايات، على الرغم من أنه القصص في البداية تحتاج إلى حديث كثير، ربما نحتاج إلى دوكيومنتري مع ياسر قاسم، لكن حتى نستغل الوقت. البداية هو أنه سمعت بأنه أو تم الاتصال بك بأنك ستكون من ضمن المنتخب الأولمبي العراقي في الفئات العمرية. كانت هذه المرة الأولى، الانطباع الأول، هل يعني شعرت بأنك الآن حققت الذي تريده بالاستدعاء الأول؟ سنتحدث لاحقا عن المسيرة.
Yeah, I didn't think much when at the beginning. I just thought, oh, I'll go there, train, see what happens. But really, when it really hit home was after the first game when I made my debut for the first team, and that was against China and to qualify for the Asia Cup. So leading up to that, there was a lot of talk, and you know, we're building, and so it's pretty much built, but people are still building the system, the federation, and bringing players from Europe. So all I was hearing was a lot of talk and just getting to know people and agents and this coach and that coach. It really made sense to me when I made my debut against China, and it's beautiful because I saw the picture. You know, I'm wearing number 23. I get to play against China.
رقمك الأول كان.
Yes. Now, that was my first number with the national team. That was my debut. It really hit home afterwards. The fact that we just won and made the Asia Cup. Anything before then was just turning up, training, not knowing, trying to figure things out. There wasn't much imprint in my mind.
أنت كنت تريد أن تظهر للعراقيين بأنه أنا ياسر غادرت العراق سابقا، لكن أنا أريد أن تروا كيف ألعب وتستفيدوا من قدراتي في الملعب، على اعتبار بأنه بالتأكيد بدون أن نكون يعني غير منصفين، بالتأكيد البناء والعمل في إنجلترا هو أفضل من العراق عن كرة القدم.
Yeah, I specifically think for myself, I want to be the best. So when I turn up to Iraq, I want to be the best. And then I go, okay, I want to be better than him to make it. I've grown a little bit, but I still think in that way. I do want to be the best. But you also want to help others become the best. So at the beginning, when you're young, you just want to play and want to be a starter and you want to be the best. So when I came to Iraq, I wanted to do really well. I wanted to build my name or build the national team. And then you start, you know, realizing the jokes and the, as we call it in England, the banter. The
كانت مشكلة عندك باللغة، المشكلة كانت اللغة.
Yeah, it's
عفوا من وصلت ولا ما تعرف ولا كلمة عربي؟
لا, I know أعرف, بس it's like now I prefer to speak in English because I can get my point across, but Arabic is not the same. So it took me a little, you're right, it took me a little bit of time to understand the jokes. But when I was starting to get it, I felt a little bit more at home. You know, I left when I was young, so
حافظ واحدة من النكات؟
ولا وحدة. But there's like there's a video I know, I forget the name. They talk about, it's an episode about they cut hair or they go to school to learn English, and there's a barber ويجيبون كبة, and then there's this famous song goes goes علي.
أغنية.
This that song from those episodes. I forgot the name of the show, but we used to watch that
هذا
show.
مسلسل. كان مسلسل صح.
So we used to watch this
جوز تجوز علي وأنا لسه الحنة بداية.
That's it. And so we used to watch that. So then when I was seeing that, when we left Iraq, when I went back, I started seeing the same mannerisms, like the players and the coaches laughing at each other, but I didn't get specific words. Now I get a little bit more.
وما دام حكينا على الكلمات، تعرف الأغاني العراقية تسمع؟
Not really, no. I don't even listen to much music, to be honest. I don't listen. I like instrumental, so no voice, just you know, a piano and stuff like that.
دعنا نعود للعراق. كانت التجربة الأولى، التعرف الأول على اللاعبين العراقيين. راح ندخل ببعض التفاصيل. ما الذي كان يحدث؟ هل فعلا كنت تشعر بأنك غريب داخل المنتخب العراقي؟ هل فعلا كان هناك كلوبيات تعمل بالضد من اللاعبين المهاجرين العائدين إلى العراق؟ وأتمنى أن نكون صريحين، لأنه حادثة مثل الذي حصل في تايلاند يوم تم تصويرك على المسبح، والكل يتذكر تلك الحادثة، كانت متعمدة. يعني كان يقال هذا ياسر قاسم لاعب منتخب العراق هو يجلس على المسبح مع إحدى الفتيات، وبالتأكيد أنت تعرف بالنسبة للعراقيين هذه قصة ربما صعبة. سؤال صعب؟
مو سؤال صعب، يعني إذا العراقيين يعرفون هم يعرفون أنا ما جاي التايلاند حتى ألتقي ببنية، أنا جاي ألعب. بس I mean, if you look at it, you're always going to feel like an outsider at the beginning. اللغة, you don't know the language, you don't know the culture as well as somebody that was born in Iraq and grew up in Iraq. I left Iraq when I was young, and I have a second language that I'm a little bit more fluent in, which is English. It's a different system. So when you come, I think it's incumbent upon me, it should have been, that I integrate with the Iraqis a little bit more and get to know them. But, you know, you're young and you don't quite get it. And we were talking in Nukta, you don't quite get the Nukta. Now it's much easier for me, but back then it's not, and I'm sure it's not for the players that.
عفوا، كان أعتقد من المفترض أن يساعدك كابتن الفريق، مدير الفريق، مدرب الفريق، أو أي شخص من اتحاد كرة القدم على الاندماج، لأنه يعرف. يعني مثلا وأنت تتكلم، أنا أتساءل عندما كانت المحاضرة وكان يحيى علوان مدرب أو أي مدرب عراقي، كيف كنت تفهم المحاضرة أو التوجيهات باللغة العربية؟ هل كان يساعدك أحد بالترجمة للغة الإنجليزية؟ تتكلم عن البداية، هسه لاحقا تعلمت بعض الأشياء، لكن بالبداية مثلا هل كان يتم الإحساس بك أن يشعرون بأنه أنت ما تعرف لغة عربية، المفروض نساعده، هذا عراقي ما يخالف مغترب؟ بصراحة.
Yeah, maybe there needs to be somebody that helps you with integrating a little bit more. But أنا جاي ألعب طابة. I was thinking of football. I wasn't thinking of anything else. So my main aim was to show results on the pitch. But yeah, I think now they've brought more European players, so they have a system of integrating players a little bit easier. But yeah, I didn't have anybody integrating me and teaching me this player is that and that player is that. Also, you have to remember, the Iraqis want to succeed in Iraq from Iraq, born in Iraq, grown up in Iraq. When they look at somebody coming from that side, it's difficult for them to look at him and go, oh, well, if he succeeds, what's going to happen to me? There's a lot of those little clashes. And those are clashes that happen all over the world with different cultures. Humans naturally want what's right for them, what's good for them. They want to live a good life. So, yeah, maybe there needs to be somebody that is a buffer that helps to integrate and teach someone coming from the outside, oh, this is the way they've been. And the guys who have been born there and played there, this is how these guys are brought up in a different country and culture. But we're all Iraqi.
وربما لأنه لم تكن هناك منظومة واضحة قسم داخل اتحاد كرة القدم لإدارة اللاعبين المهاجرين، على اعتبار أن تتحدث عن قصة يعني ربما المدرب لا يملك الوقت لكي يحاول المساعدة والاندماج ويحدث الاندماج ما بينك وبين اللاعبين. هو هناك عمل ولعب، فكان مفترض أن يكون هناك شيء ما في الاتحاد يساعدكم.
National team is very short time. It's not like a club team. Club team, you're in 4 or 5 days a week with game, maybe a day off. Also, you get to go out with players. You go for lunches together, you go for dinners. National team is 2 weeks and you go back to your club. So already you're at a disadvantage. Then you have a coach that might not be Iraqi and might be Spanish, might be Italian, Brazilian, wherever. He's not understanding the culture that's going on, and it takes him to understand the culture. At the same time, then you have people who are inherently, well, how do I say it, are flawed. They want what's best for them. So are they telling the coaches that this is the situation? When you come as a team, is there that thought process, hey, whatever I'm going to do is the best for everybody? Even people with good intentions go wrong. So, going back to the start of the question is, yeah, I came with an idea to be the best on the pitch, but you also have to be the best off it and make sure everybody comes together. I didn't have that when I was young, and I didn't necessarily have that guidance at the national team level either.
ولذلك اتخذت قرار بعدم إكمال المباريات عندما كان المنتخب في تايلاند. اتخذت قرارا بعدم إكمال المباريات. حادثة تايلاند تحدث عنها الشهيرة، لأنك غضبت بعدم إشراكك في المباراة اللي قبلها في إيران، أعتقد ضد هونغ كونغ أو تايوان. الصراحة
Yeah, at that point, I think it's wrong to just leave and not play with the national team. But I came to the conclusion that things weren't being done right. And when you put yourself through, a career that's really difficult, from emotionally charged from a young age, I signed at 11 years of age. I got to the national team. All I wanted to do was win. And I see things not being done properly. I came to the realization that, hey, I have to take a stand. And that was my way of taking a stand and saying, guys, let's do the things properly. Was it right?
تتحدث مع المدرب.
No, that's the thing. I make my own decisions. So was there a situation where I should have talked to the coach? Was the coach really coaching? That's the question you got to ask yourself. Because there's so many people in the makeup of the federation. Sometimes you look at the coach and you go, is he the one making the decisions? So do you want to go to the coach? You have to think all these things through. And sometimes you're not in those rooms to understand those decisions. But what I know what was happening was I wasn't right. So I took a stand.
يعني حتى يكون واضح للناس بعد سنوات هذه الحادثة، أنت شعرت بظلم، والظلم بأنه أنت قادم من بني إنجلترا تلعب في ظروف جيدة وأنت نجم، شعرت بأنه كانت محاولة لعدم زجك بالتشكيل الأساسية حتى لا تكون بارز في التشكيل. أنا أتحدث يعني تحليلي، ولذلك قررت أن تتخذ هذه الخطوة التي أثارت الضجة. أنت سببت أزمة ياسر في وقتها.
لا، ظلم is a very strong word. هاي قوية، بس يعني بالعربي نقولها، بالإنجليزي لا تفكر ظلم وهاي يعني your mind is a little bit corrupted. More high. I came to Iraq to be the best. So I want Iraq to be the best. So that's my thinking. That's my feeling. Going against what you see, which is the coach and the federation, was me taking a stand. But it wasn't me, you know, in a way going, oh, I'm turning my back on the national team. It was almost like a kid going, hey, we got to get this right. I want the best for Iraq. So let's do this. Obviously, you mature and you start thinking, okay, what's best for Iraq? Maybe it's a slow build up, gradual, and it's a very difficult position to be as a footballer because it's a very short career. It's 15 years or 10 years or sometimes 1 year and you're injured and you're out, or maybe you fall out of love with it and you're not in it. So when you're in it, you want to be the best, you want to do the best. So you start taking these decisions that you think is right, but over a long-term period, maybe, okay, it's okay, I play and I build others, and we get to a point where then I build when I'm not a player. I build when I'm a coach, or in finance, and I finance projects in Iraq. When you're a footballer, you don't think like that. You don't think like that. You think you want to be the best. And it's right to think like that. But sometimes you have to think like that. It's very difficult.
عندما شاهدت الفيديو على السوشيال ميديا انه اللاعبين صوروك، هل كانت القصة يعني صعبة؟ هل عرفت بالبداية من هم اللاعبين؟ هل تقاطعت معهم؟ يعني صف لي شعورك في تلك الأزمة عندما شاهدت انه لاعبين زملائك يصورون بك.
I still don't know who filmed, but looking at, yeah, if you know, you tell me after. We'll talk after. We'll just get a strong coffee. But I don't know who they are. At the end of the day, we're Iraqis. So you have to look after one another. If I do wrong, if he does wrong, we let it be and then we look after each other. We don't take a camera and we tell the world. We don't do, in a way, it turns against you. It's an interesting aspect of life where you look at somebody else and you go, oh, he's maybe going through something, or he's making these decisions, and you decide to air it and go, hey, let's show the world this. No, I think as Iraqis, we shouldn't do that, and we should look after each other.
طيب، ربما يعني واحدة من أفضل المحطات مع المنتخب الوطني آسيا في أستراليا. يعني كنت في القمة متألق، ساعدت المنتخب العراقي كثيرا في هذه البطولة. يقال بأنه غيابك في مباراة كوريا الجنوبية هي من جعلت العراق على الأقل خارج المباراة النهائية. كان ممكن أن تأهل للمباراة النهائية لو كنت موجود. ما الذي حدث؟ لماذا في هذه البطولة مع كابتن راضي شنيشل حدثت أمور غريبة؟ فجأة المنتخب العراقي بدأ يتحسن بشكل غريب، يعني لم كنا نتوقع ذلك قبل البطولة.
Captain Rabi, he held the national team together. And he pushed and he put a lot of pressure on us every day during the tournament and prior to the tournament to do well. We rose up to the occasion. There has to be backing with that as well over a long-term period, meaning the right system, meaning that the kids in Iraq, you coach them and train them the same way. So over 10, 15 years, you have the same cycle. We got a bit lucky and got a cycle during that time of good players, strong coach, and we pushed together and banded together and did well. Obviously, fortunately, I got a yellow card in the quarterfinal. I couldn't play in the semi-final. We don't know whether if I played, we'd make the final, even win it. But what I do know is that period was the best period for me with the national team. And we came together, and it's a beautiful period. I'll always look back at that, happy.
هو دائما أعيد نفس السؤال، هو لماذا لا يستمر ياسر يعني حتى عندما نعود إلى الأندية في سويندن تاون كنت الكابتن، صح؟ كنت كابتن الفريق وواحدة من أفضل فتراتك، لكن هناك يحدث شيء ما، وأما يختفي ياسر قاسم ويتخذ قرارات بالابتعاد عن اللعب. يعني مثل ما حصل قبل الكل العراق كله كان ينتظر ياسر يوقع مع سوانزي سيتي في هذه اللحظات يحدث شيء ما.
Sometimes I think about these things, but I don't have an answer for that other than what I've gone through has got me to a position where my fulfillment comes from helping others. I may not have understood this while I was playing football. Even if you look at my position, I was playing in midfield. So when I was playing in midfield, I would help the defense join the attack. So pass the ball.
نفس
organize.
الفلسفة.
Yes. So when things weren't going right, I'd be like, guys, we need to stay together, not realizing that everybody's running by themselves. And this is just not a football issue. It's a society issue. Everyone by themselves. I didn't realize what that meant. And then I stopped playing football. Then I thought about the career I've had and the decisions I made. I think all those decisions that I was trying to make was trying to bring people together, but maybe I didn't do it in the right way in people's eyes. But my intentions were, I wanted to people together. So if this is not going to work out, I'm going to step away because it's not working out to the way I want it to work out. You mature and you realize, okay, how do you help others make things work out for themselves? That is easier said than done. But I think when you're not playing football, you don't have to get results every single week. It's more in years and decades. And football is pressurized. So, things get emotionally charged and you have to remember we're Iraqis and passionate and stuff. So you go, okay, I'll step away and then I'll come back. And then the Swansea deal was going to happen, but they were selling the club. Actually, the owners at the time were selling the club. So they didn't want to bring players in. Mm-hmm. They wanted to cut the wages, make the finances look better than they were, and then sell the club. There's all these little pieces that were moving. I guess I wanted to control that and do well for myself, for my club that I was with and my country. But it's very difficult. And that way they can go into Europe, build themselves up. And that's what's going to fulfill me, helping them come over and do well and helping Iraq and Iraqi coaches build the next generation.
عندك ترى بأن المدربين العراقيين يحتاجون إلى التطور باختصار احتاج أجوبة مختصرة يعني.
Yes, for sure. I coach now at Crystal Palace. The amount of information and feedback and systems and come in and meetings is incredible. The FA, the finances of the Premier League, the amount of money they spend, is incredible. And they started this project years ago. So Iraq needs that. And that's how they've then become really good at the top level.
طيب لو كنت الآن تملك النادي الذي تتحدث عنه، أي لاعب الآن تعتقد بأنه ممكن يلعب في الدرجات الأولى الثانية، لا أقول بالدرجة الدوري الممتاز يعني، أو هل هناك لاعب عراقي الآن يستطيع اللعب في الدوري الممتاز؟
All of them can play. Is the answer?
مبالغ.
That's the Iraqi answer.
أكيد صح دبلوماسية. سبيسيفيك منو اعطيني اسم.
هسه هو راح الهولندا زيدان يقدر يلعب.
لا أنا أحكي عن اللاعبين اللي موجودين بالعراق يا جماعة، على الحمادة موجود في إنجلترا يعني.
It's very difficult. The Premier League is a very difficult league.
الأدنى Championship.
It's a tough league as well. It's a very tough league.
طيب تشوف المباريات
Yeah, sometimes.
شنو رأيك؟ ليش ما تأهلنا؟ الله كان في أول سؤال.
It's an important question. I think it's a little bit like our society is a little bit individual, and you watch them and quite emotional. It's enjoyable, but we have to be a bit more together. So I don't watch football as much as I used to. That's the truth, because you think too much. You start watching it, you think, oh, this guy.
يعني ما شفت مباريات العراق تصفيات كأس العالم الأخير؟
لا أشوف, but I don't watch it all the time. حتى, I train at, I coach at Crystal Palace. I can get tickets for the game. I don't even go and watch because you're always analyzing. So if I was to analyze them from what I've watched, they're still very individual and they just got to come together a little bit more. And I hope so. I hope they qualify for the World Cup.
بالتأكيد لدينا مباراة فاصلة. ياسر لدينا فقرة أخيرة سأذهب إلى فاصل مشاهدينا، ثم نعود ونكمل الحلقة مع ضيفي ياسر قاسم. اهلا بكم من جديد. ياسر، الحديث ممتع طبعا حول التجربه، الطفوله. يعني اعتقد بانه حاولت خلال هاي المده بانه اخذ اكثر الاسئله، لكن القصه تحتاج الى مثل ما قلت لك وقت اطول، ربما بالمستقبل وثائقي. انت من دخلت لي وقعت، اريد من عندك توقيع اخر كذكرى على كره احنا مخليها هنا، ممكن نقوم نوقع عليها. اول مره اشوف توقيعك انا بالحقيقه مره ثانيه. وانت ذكرت بالحلقه بانه انت وقعت اول عقد احترافي مع توتنهام، تتذكر
اي اتذكر.
شنو لون القلم كان؟
اوه
صعب ها؟
يمكن ازرق.
ازرق كان.
يمكن
وكان نفس هذا توقيعك هذا لو تغير توقيعك على
تقريبا نفس الشيء بس تغير، بس حطيت رقم 23 لانه
لان اول رقم حلوه المعلومه، رقم 23 اول رقم لبسته مع المنتخب العراقي، رقم 23 ممتاز. بالتالي هل تتوقع بانه ستوقع عقد اخر بتجربتك، ربما عقد اكبر كمدرب، تشتري نادي؟
يس one day one day one day ونساعد العراقيين
ان شاء الله. طبعا شكرا جزيلا، سعيد جدا بلقائك. مشاهدينا ايضا شكرا لكم على المتابعه. الخطوه التاسعه مستمره مع ضيف اخر وحلقه اخرى. شكرا جزيلا.